Sup shitters, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SB Reviews, where today I have the pleasure of reviewing the remainder of an album by an act named Kravt durch Krebs. And this album, Schmerzkörper, or Pain Body in German, which is apparently the intensification of the ego through negative emotion. And Kravt durch Krebs means strength through cancer. It's really intense music from what I've learned since I did the first part of this album reviews. This is the second. Because we're going to be reviewing the remaining 6 tracks on this album. So if we switch over to here, we're going to be listening through tracks 3 to 8 because I've reviewed Ich bin Frequensalter and Das Licht aufbauen. And we're going to be listening through these 6. And just before I continue, Dein, ungeschicktes Leben. That apparently has a man named Roland Freisler speaking at the start. And he was a prominent idealist of Nazism who was involved with the legal systems and genuinely a piece of shit, apparently. And that specific song is very much an anti-fascism piece, just for anyone who's interested. So we're going to listen through these 6 tracks from start to finish and hear what we think, starting with Kopfkriecher. Let's go. Oh, that's incredibly ominous already. I immediately feel uncomfortable because of how that... Oh, it's deep. It's like you're being smothered like it. You're being smothered by it, man. I haven't really heard much doom metal before in these reviews, but I'm glad it's finally arrived. It's oppressive and it's just so dark and foreboding. You got this dissonance in the harmony, and the drums are staggering along with these triplet fills occasionally, a little bit of... Oh. These vocals are so uncomfortable, man. They're so brutal, dude. Just the whispering and the laughing and stuff like that is kind of it's kind of mucking me up a little bit, eh? It sounds so evil, so vile, and so... You know, bordering on a tritone there. Just 3 notes. Just these 3 notes and that little kind of tremolo going on here with that really weirdly delicate string instrument there. And the bass is just pummeling your eardrums, dude. Just with that 1 note at a time. I wish I knew more German. I really did. I feel like the only way I could improve my experience with this is if I understood the language. But at the same time, the music, I think the music communicates well enough what the emotional content of the lyrics is meant to be, along with the way that the singers are performing in this. It's, I feel like I've got a lump in my throat. It's distorted blast beats, man. And with that same melody at the beginning that's been throughout some of the heaviest music I've listened to throughout my reviews, man. It's so bleak and grim. It's so quick, but at the same time, it still sounds slow because of that boom, boom, boom. This is some of the best doom metal I've listened to in a long while, man. It's just, I also learned, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit about Ich bin from the previous review. The reason I couldn't hear the lyrics was that was kind of intentional. It was like bits from his diary, as I understand it, from Kravt durch Krebs. The person responsible, this is their diary. You know, you're supposed to sort of be more judging it based on the emotional content, how it sounds, rather than the words. And yeah, it came across the way I think it was intended to. Really interesting approaches to the way this album has been produced and recorded, and I love it. It's just so, it's brutal, man. And now I've got Erwartungsparasit. I think that's the one there. Oh, it's a lot faster than the previous track we had. That guitar is all around us, isn't it? Oh, it's very intense and very loud. This is only a minute. Dude, it's so cool. I love the quality of the recording. It's just so visceral and raw and organic, and I adore it, man. This music would not be the same if you'd sampled the drum kits. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't have been the same. You need to do live drums for these sorts of songs. It needs to be as unfiltered as possible. Oh no! Oh, that's heavy. Oh, it's so fast. And like it's da 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 da. You just go in between like chromatic notes, you know, the Phrygian mode, but combined with like the whispery kind of lyrics in your ear, and it's so creepy and unsettling, man. But I adore that. I got all the time in the world for that, man. Give me more of this interesting music, please. And I know like a lot of bands that would put like that kind of like really growly stuff over that kind of music, but that's not Kravt durch Krebs' style, man. You got the whispers, and the whispers are super duper uncomfortable for me. I don't like it, but I do love it because it's making me feel things I don't want to feel. And that's part of having a true musical experience, is not expecting to be a certain way, you know, to have your expectations messed with. That's a healthy thing, you know. Dein, ungeschicktes Leben. This is the Roland Friesler guy. He sounds so angry and so harsh. You've got these strings and the blast beats that are just kicking your ass again and again and again and again. It pulsates and writhes and wriggles around and makes itself... It settles in your brain and it twists it into knots. It's so... And then you have that dynamic range. This is what I like. This is what I really enjoy, is that we have this velocity, this intensity, and Kravt durch Krebs knows to step it down a little bit just to give you a break for a moment. You know, you can get away with that intensity with Erwartungsparasit. because, you know, it's a minute long. But when you've got 2 minutes, you need to have a break in the middle, you know? You just got these strings, occasional hand. Oh. Oh, dude, it's destroying me, man. You've got these boom, boom, these sort of chromatic shifts in the melodies and harmonies that we have combined with the thunderous percussion, and then the whispers, and then these vocal samples from, like, you know, not Nazis and stuff like that, and it's a real bad time for everyone involved, you know, like, oh. Oh, okay. Got these coughs. What the drill, man? What the drill? Where is this drill come from, man? Why have we got a swing rhythm on the rides with the drill? Oh, and how do they program the that guitar to go boom, 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 like that, dude? There's all this cool stuff happening, and it's so short and sweet. It's ruthless. This music's unbelievable. Hexenhammer, number 6. Oh. Oh. Oh, it's ferocious. I think you got this side chaining on the kicks with these kind of discordant arpeggios on the rhythm guitars. And there's a gradual increase in the intensity as opposed to going straight into blast beats this time. It's so filthy. It's almost corrupted, you know? I would not have expected the distortion on the vocals, but I can understand why we're doing it. I am living for it, dude. This album is so interesting. Pain Body, man. Schmerzkörper. Oh my goodness. Wow, man. This is extreme. Like, this is extreme stuff, dude. And, like, you know, there's got elements of black metal in it, but I've heard grindcore that's and, like, the guitar tone sizzles. That's what's so interesting about it. You get this brief respite with this sizzling guitar tone, which is full of color despite being so ominous and depressing. This triplet groove on the drums as well with this rhythm, and we've got change. There is never a dull moment within this album. That's experience that comes into play in regards to songwriting. That's experience. Yeah. You know, like most bands, if I heard this kind of mixing and mastering, if it was any genre that wasn't this, like if this was the way that like blues was recorded or like rock was recorded, or like, it wouldn't necessarily work as well, because having that pumping, that sort of claustrophobia that I'm experiencing listening to this in these headphones. That's not something that works for most genres of music, but for for this music, it works incredibly well because it works alongside the themes that are being discussed. Do you understand what I mean? I don't know where we're going with this. I know I've listened to Das Lässt auf Baumen. Does it get even heavier than this? Where do you go from here? This is the apex, man. And there's guitars, bass, and drums. That's all you need. And it delivers the message loud and clear. And you can breathe now. Oh, make me feel things I didn't expect to feel. Because yeah, if you remove the literal every other bit of context from the bum 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 bum, it's kind of a catchy little riff you've got there, but it's just everything else pile drives it into your face. It kind of sounds like you got a jackhammer smashing away at your eardrums, but I love it. You want it to continue. That's the weirdest thing about this music, is that you want it to continue. Even like, no matter how aggressive it becomes, you want to take more of it in, because it's like, yeah, okay, I reckon I can take a bit more of this, because I love it. I really do. Kristpest. We got a bell. Are we going back to our Doom stuff? Because everything's been pretty quick for the last little bit. Okay, it's a bit slower with this one. Okay, we could go back into blast beats, but we're gonna find out. Oh, we've got a few little fills going on here. Those notes hanging like unanswered questions on that guitar, man. Ball. Ball. I like how we can loop these, and oh. Oh, it's so creepy when he whispers. Oh, I can't. It sends shivers down my spine, man. It's a hell of a trip. I don't think I've heard anything quite like this in a long time. Great identity to those tom fills, though. It's more about the story being told, actually. Like, I think it's more about the story being told than about the musical sort of like don't get me wrong, these tracks have really cool musical concepts and themes and all that, but it's more about the message he's trying to communicate and the way he sings rather than trying to sort of like tell, yeah. I don't trust this not to go into a really furious section again. Is this the vibe that we're going to have for the rest of the track? It's like, it sounds like the icy winds, man. Like it's his vocals are sublime, and it, you know, it's, I don't know if it would work in any other genre apart from this kind of music, but it got those double kicks going. Ooh. Even that breathing brings the drama intensity to it, man. You just never know what they're going to throw to you next. These chords just hang. They hang there. And it's just so powerful. It's grotesque, abhorrent, something out of this world, but at the same time, it feels so welcome within the rest of the other elements. Oh, we got that drill coming back. I don't like it. I don't like it. I want it to go away, please. Oh, I don't like it. Oh, make it stop. Oh, that was quite a bit for me. I'm not making this up. It genuinely makes me uncomfortable, man. I can just imagine someone's brain getting drilled into, man. It's just, oh. Ah, man. Oh, this music is... I'm fascinated by this music in Schmerzkörper, man. Nicht Mensch. Not something. I know, very basic German. Very basic. This is a little bit laid back, isn't it? A little bit more laid back. I like this. Nice to have a bit of peace. Six, 4. Is there a polyrhythm or like a polymeter or something like that going on over here? I think it might be a polyrhythm, eh? I think that's kind of cool to put those together. We've got some synth strings or whatever coming in as well. Gradual development of the musical concept, great. There's succulent dynamic range within this song. I adore it within this album. That's why I don't have an issue personally with how those blast beats are just so big and they smother you. I don't have an issue with that because that's been done on purpose from a production standpoint. You can tell that Kravt durch Krebs, like that the mixing's been done fantastically on this album. There have been decisions made to deliberately make it more difficult to hear in some parts, which that's a whole nother level, you know what I mean? I mean that genuinely. It's kind of dope because you think you think you've got one sort of kind of groove going on here with this hand drums, and then the secondary drums come in and they flip your expectations whilst making it continuing to keep it fresh. It's cool that the guitar works with both. I like that a lot. Are we gonna are we gonna increase the intent, like how loud we say that, or is it meant to be like a meditative thing or something like that? Because what I've learned from this record is when he gets the whispers going, things are about to get real dark real quick. Oh, we got shakers. These one-string riffs are surreal. They feature heavily throughout this album. In some places they're incredibly in your face, and other times they're way more relaxed. And this one they're more relaxed. Nicht Mensch. It just loops and is content within itself. It sort of relieves and restores itself, doesn't it? Well, that's the album. That is the whole entire album now in 2 parts. I will go through this quickly as I explained a lot of the points that I had to make about the record in the previous part of this review. The quality continues throughout this entire album. This is not a record for people that are looking for something to casually bang their heads to. It's not really. You really have to want to get involved in the story to really appreciate this. From what I understand, Kravt durch Krebs has some music videos on the YouTube page that are for these songs, and these videos help to give context to these tracks. So if possible, if you're wanting to listen to this album throughout, it may be worth looking at those videos on their YouTube page just for additional context. But this has been one of the most visceral experiences I've had with an album. I adore it. I think it's really well made. I think the instrumentation and there's been a lot of consideration into the different parts of it. There's always something interesting going on. There's always a new element continued. All the vocals come in to kind of shake things up, or you suddenly go into blast beat sections, or you suddenly go halftime, or there's shakers. There is constant range within it. Some of these tracks are like a minute, and they've got enough like in them for like 5 minutes of material. And there's no filler tracks in this album either. Each of these 9 songs was incredibly strong. My personal favorites were probably Kopfkriecher, actually. It's the one I reacted very strongly to. That one there felt like I was choking, and I'm a masochist, so I enjoy that kind of stuff. Really, though, seriously though, there are some very, very strong statements put forward by Kravt durch Krebs here, and they need to be taken seriously, especially that one about Roland Freisler and like the Nazism and anti-fascism. I'm all for that, man. I don't like the Nazis, man. Horrible stuff happened, and I understand why musicians are making statements like this. I think that it's very easy to become apathetic and to not care about things like that. But the fact that Kravt durch Krebs is speaking their mind and making music that represents their viewpoints and their belief systems in a way that is this passionate and this raw and this unfiltered is incredibly important for music to continue to evolve. We need to allow ourselves to feel things and communicate it in a way that's healthy. And that healthy doesn't necessarily mean in a way that people think they deserve to hear something. It can be like this album where there are parts where it almost is overwhelming to the point where it's just making you feel incredibly uncomfortable. It's like that's okay. The musical experience does not need to be pleasurable. It just needs to mean something, and it needs to be of a net benefit somehow. Again, if you speak German, you'll probably hear the stories and understand what they're saying, and it'll make a lot more context. I mean, I have been given information about this album, and I've read through like reviews and stuff like that, so I have a bit of a understanding of it. But like, at the same time, there are bits like that drill and stuff like that. It just gets so dark, and so I love it. I think this is the epitome of what an album within this genre should be like. I think Kravt durch Krebs have hit the nail on the head. And I really hope they can continue to make amazing music like this. The vocals were a star, man. And by that I mean like they were fantastic. And just how minimalist it was. This was no ego project. It was a way of communicating with the listener. It was one of the purest forms of musical experience I've had in quite a while. And, you know, in terms of the production, yeah, there were some parts where it was limiting and brickwalling pretty heavily on the compression limiting mastering chain, but it worked because it made sense within the genre. And if it makes sense within the genre, you don't need to fix what isn't already broken. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Just record it and make it work. And if it's good music, people will love it. And I enjoyed this album. So that's, you know, from Ekben, where you had the really quiet vocals that turned out to be purposefully quiet, to, you know, if we refresh ourselves on this track, here, you just have this breathing and it sounds like they're speaking to you on a telephone or a radio wave station. It's just, oh, but that's a unique experience. It's not crafted into a cute little thing for you to put in your eardrums and vibe along to. It's a bit of a challenge sometimes, and I enjoy that. But that doesn't mean that it's not well written, well recorded, and well played. I can't really fault this track. Anything that I could is there purposefully and stylistically makes sense, so it's fine. If you enjoyed this album though, Schmerzkörper, Pain Body by Kravt durch Krebs, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and Spotify. Okay, this is like a one person project. It's incredibly difficult to write an album and produce an album and play the different instruments. It's not an easy thing to do. This needs to not be understated. It is not an easy thing to do to record an album, no matter what the genre. It requires a lot of time, work, and experience and passion. And this is clearly something that the musician involved was passionate about. And I can hear that. And I think it's wonderful. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need to help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Catch you next review. Spider hands up.